Hello, I'm MC2, the worst rapper in the world. How are you doing tonight? Thank you for coming along. We have a special night tonight because we've got in the house, we've got Mallory, the what we call Furry Flerfette. Hold on a second. Let me get her up there. All right. How you doing, Mallory?
Bonjour.
Welcome along. Well, if this is new for anybody, if you haven't watched one of my streams before, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up and say something in the comments about the conversation we're about to have if you want. We are talking, I think mostly it's going to be about 5G, but maybe we'll talk about a little flat earth ideas here that Mallory has. Mallory, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
I'm Mallory. I don't even know what to say about myself. That I'm just a Furry Flerfette, and I'm excited for this topic because I found some interesting things. I live around these towers, so it's sometimes it's kind of concerning to me, and I hope to clear some stuff because word around town that you're the 5G guy. So I don't know. It should be a really good discussion.
Yes, I've been looking forward to it. Now, being that you kind of like the furry stuff, I said, you know what, I could do a furry video with myself in a sort of a furry suit.
Yes.
It's not a real furry suit, people. I need to make sure your expectations are properly lowered for this video. It's pajamas. It's full-size adult pajamas, and I'm not in the video much. But it's like a whole music video of furries around the world, around the globe, I call it. What?
You lost me after globe.
Let's see. I have to share it so you can see it. I'm sharing something to her. I'm gonna stop that. And then
I was really expecting we did this conversation and you in that furry outfit.
Yeah, you don't want that.
A fur
And
off.
you'd only see the hood. It's just it's not a whole head thing. So let me, it's going to be, seriously, people, I hope your expectations are not high. Where'd it go? I got to find the window that I'm going to share to you. Oh, there it is. Okay. There's the window that you see. All right. That's not what everybody at home sees. People at home, you're going to see the whole video. It's about 4 minutes. And just remember, you're paying nothing for this. So that's about what you're going to get. Here goes. Unfortunately, it's not sending it out quick enough. I'm sorry.
Why?
I don't know why. It could be I'm trying to do too much. So what I actually did is I made it live on my YouTube channel. So did you forget to turn on your fan again? My fan is on. I have a nice new fan, and the CPU is not at it's not at high speed. Please play it more when it can work. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I don't know what to do now. Maybe if I'm not sharing this to you. I'll try one more time. Not sharing to you. We'll see if that does anything. And see if I can close some tabs. Because if you have lots of tabs open, You know how it goes, right? Close that. And then also tonight, we're going to have I'm going to get Team Skeptic on at the same time as Mallory. So people get excited for that. Let's see.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Good. All right. I'm closing a bunch of stuff. I'm going to try it one more time. And if it's laggy, let me know. There's that. Quit this. Like everything. Everything I don't need is going away. There we go. All right, one more time. I'll try it, and if it's choppy, then I'll stop it, and we'll just do without. There you go. Sorry, everybody. I hope I properly set your low expectations for that. So yes, people, what's going on? That was Furries Around the Globe, brought to you by MC2, and it's
Ooh.
available on my channel right now. I'm sure it's going to be a number one hit. And Mallory is in the house. People are like, is Mallory here? Yeah, Mallory's here. Team Skeptic's going to be here later. And he's in the shower right now. You know, he's got to shower a lot. So there it is. What'd you think of that?
That was terrible.
Well,
I mean, a good effort. I appreciate the furries, but them holding them globes though, I don't know.
did you
It's
see?
a thumbs down for me.
I was inside the
Yeah,
globe.
yeah, that part, like you in a furry outfit was cute though, but inside the globe, that's where you lost me.
That was I drove down to the Minnesota State Fair just to film that.
Did anyone stop and like took pictures?
Yeah, we actually had a family picture taken by some people walking by. Well, the State Fair's not going right now, so it was not a lot of people around. So, all right, there you go. There it is, people. I'm sorry if you saw that, and your eyes are now blind. So, and if you loved it, well, then awesome. Recommend it to your friends, your furry friends. So, we're here to talk about 5G.
Absolutely.
But I before we do that, I see Angel Gamer is in the chat. I know her in person. I've met her. I've been to her house. She's been to my house, and I met her puppy when it was a puppy, and it's as of yesterday, it had to be put down. So here is this is her dog that is no longer with us. So if anybody wants to give a little words of encouragement to Angel Gamer.
Aww.
There
Aww.
it is. And she's on my Discord server too, if you want to send her good wishes there. So
Rest in peace, little man.
yeah. So, all right. We got some 5G to talk about. What do you think about 5G?
Well, after looking it up with the 5G towers and everything else, I'm still convinced that it is not good at all. Even though I've watched some of your other videos, how you're like, it's like, wow, you're saying it's harmless and stuff like that, but I don't believe it is. Like, it's cool that it's gonna project trillions and trillions of dollars, by some time. It's gonna create, millions of jobs. Kudos. But at the same time, it's like, you remember how y'all were saying, like, how mining and like fracking and piping and all the kinds of things was like, at first it was like, hey, it's gonna be a-okay, and then after a while just turns out not to be. And I was like also looking up, I had like so many pages that I found that I saved, that that even like 26,000 scientists had even like signed the petition. How at the UN, some woman was like spewing about how 5G is a war on humanity, and they didn't even want 5G towers over there, and how even on the health, even on like Canada.ca, like the official site, was talking about 5G technology, cell phone towers and antennas and stuff. How when I was clicking on that, it was like radiation, hair loss, skin redness, radiation burns, and so forth. And I don't know. It's pretty scary stuff. Also, where it was like saying like how 5G kills bees, and how bees are like really important to this world. So if it's like killing like cute little birds, and I read that one article how 5G, um well, there was like these 5G like towers, they were saying the birds got sterile and got deformed eggs and stuff. So I don't know, we need our little creatures and critters around this place, because that's what makes it.
Okay,
So
where is the information about how it affects bees?
one one sec.
Okay.
Well, while we're doing that, because that was probably like the least thing that I care about bees. 5G bees are dying because I had saved some. One sec. I made a folder. Hold on.
Okay.
I gotta like. One sec. So do it. One sec. Because I like SS'd a bunch of.
You SS'd?
Yeah, screenshots.
Oh. Okay.
Also, while I'm like just going through my like screenshots here, and it says, also, can 5G track you? And it's like 5G is faster and more secure than 4G, but new research shows that it has vulnerabilities that could put users at risk.
5G cannot track you any more than 4G or Wi-Fi or a plugged-in wire to the internet. It's all the same. If the computer you're running can track you, then the network that it uses doesn't matter.
So why would they say that though?
Just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's true.
Also, here it says, can 5G make you tired? And an unknown number of people claim to suffer some hypersensitivity and experience a range of non-specific symptoms when opposed to EMF. Examples: skin problems, fatigue, dizziness, nausea, and heart palpitations. And this is from freedomlab.org.
Is that a peer-reviewed study, or is that just somebody saying things?
Well, somebody typed it.
Okay, so it's just somebody saying things. That's the problem. There's a lot of people saying a lot of things about 5G, but the important thing about 5G is the actual research that people have done. So what are the actual health effects of 5G? That's the important thing, and there have been lots of studies. But I have seen some studies that have concluded some negative effects to it. Let me see here. We got a couple people. All right, I want to make sure that the super chats aren't scrolling off too quickly.
Like here, though, this is what like I was saying before. Like a Punjab University study found that sparrows exposed to the cell tower's radiation for 5 to 30 minutes produced disfigured eggs. In Spain, the nesting, breeding, and roosting of birds were disturbed by the microwave radiation of the cell tower.
So can you send those to me? Or you want to share your screen, or I don't know what you want to do.
Give me one. I'll just send it to you. Okay. I think it'll be easier. I'll just send you some of the some of the things that I found.
Okay. Fohammer 335, you might have heard him before. He says, Mallory, stop feeding me word salad. He doesn't. He's full, I guess. I already ate, and I'm not hungry anymore.
Word salads. I'm reading off screen.
And then Cretan Ball says, is Team going to be on later, or he's actually on right now? He's going to be on later. They're going to both be on at the same time. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see this confusion you people have with
I'm just
him.
I just send you like,
oh my gosh, it's just screenshots.
Well, that's what I have like screenshotted, but then I got like links from the actual government of Canada talking about 5G technology, cell phone towers and antennas, that I was looking through that.
Okay, I'll just read this. It's just a something on a website or somewhere that's just a list of effects. They call it
Googled it.
Neuroweapon effects. Nothing specific about 5G and nothing specific about the wavelengths or the power or anything about it. So that's not very useful. What does the 5G network and a non-lethal weapon developed in the military have in common? Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing at all.
I was looking into that up.
Because the information is easy to find.
Okay, so I had that military The military
Yes,
is weaponizing 5G.
the active defense system. That's a separate thing than the other thing you're talking about, which I know about too. Active defense system is a crowd control device that runs at 96 gigahertz, which is not any range near what 5G does. The highest 5G is about 40 gigahertz, so less than half of the frequency. The frequency doesn't really matter a ton, but it runs at a very high power. So let me explain so that you understand, because power and frequency are often confused. When it comes to sound, if you have sound at kind of a low volume, is there any one particular frequency of sound, low pitch or high pitch, that damages you, makes you deaf or anything?
Yeah.
What?
Like, are you asking me, is there like
Yeah,
a sound
at a nice low volume, right?
Oh, if it makes you deaf?
Is there any sound, any particular frequency, a high pitch or a low pitch, that will make you deaf or damage you or do something harmful to you because of the frequency, if it's at a low volume?
Oh, at a low volume?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't know. Not that I know of.
Other than country music, of course. That will, it causes Dane
There's nothing
Bramage.
wrong with country music. Kip Moore is epic.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And with the caveat of the Man in Black, of course, he's fine. So obviously I don't like country music. So there's nothing at low volume that can hurt you, but at high volume, say you turn it up, does it matter actually what music you play or what pitch sound you play if it's at really, really high volume?
Well, yeah, because they did like what for concerts and stuff, they can't do it louder than a certain amount because it damages your ears and whatnot.
Yeah. So let's say you had it, like 130 decibels is pretty loud.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's 150. Let's say it's 200 decibels. That'll hurt you, right? Does it matter which frequency much, right? If it's a low pitch or a high pitch, does it matter if it's 200 decibels?
I'm really not familiar with decimals, mister.
Okay. A very, very loud concert, like the world's record loudest concert is in the range of 130 decibels. Oh. Okay. So I'm just picking a big number, right? Okay. Say 200 decibels, which is much, much, much higher than 130. Does it matter if it's 200 decibels, if it's a low pitch sound or a high pitch sound? Does it matter? It doesn't. No matter what, if it's that loud, it's going to hurt you, right? It's going to make you deaf. And if it's 18 hertz, apparently it's a brown note. It'll, make you run off to the bathroom. That's a joke. So that's the difference between power and frequency, right? Frequency, is like the pitch in sound, and power would be like volume. So the active defense system is 96 gigahertz, which is a rather high frequency in the radio frequency range, but it's an extremely high volume. It's 100,000 watts. Okay. That's how you measure volume for radio frequency stuff. 100,000 watts. A 5G cell tower is usually about 50 watts. That's the difference between the active defense and 5G. A huge amount of difference. It's like going to a concert at high volume and then just cranking it all the way up versus like somebody playing a clarinet on the other side of a gigantic wheat field, right? That's the difference there. So active defense, which is what you're talking about, what this particular screenshot was talking about.
Yeah.
And 5G, there's really nothing similar about it because the power is massively different. Your microwave in your microwave oven, if you have one, is multiple times more powerful than a 5G tower.
I try not to use too much my microwave either.
Yeah,
I mostly just use stovetop.
That's fine. A lot of people do that. So,
but why would they show? Okay, so why would they show? Like when that that like the screenshot that I showed you about saying that.
Yeah.
It's like, why would they say it's
because
familiar?
It's people that don't understand. So for the most part, to really have a good understanding of radio frequencies, you need to have a good bunch of college classes or university level classes on that particular topic, right? So if somebody's a medical doctor, they didn't get any of the classes. If somebody is a sociologist, they didn't get those classes, right? That it's very specific classes that you would take to learn about those things. I studied that when I was at university. I took an antennas class. I took electromagnetism, a bunch of so many electromagnetism classes. All those things I took and studied, and if I didn't study them, then I wouldn't have the foundation to really have a good understanding of this. And so the people that are saying this, I look at this, I'm like, why the heck would you say that the active defense system has anything to do with 5G? You can't understand the systems. And I don't think they do. Right. Now, you don't either, right? You didn't take these classes, so it's not a problem.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's that you can go do some learning on it, right?
Well, that's what I tried to do, but but like when I was like looking this up, how they were talking, like all these sites were talking about how 5G. Okay, so like inside your home, you got like your Wi-Fi router, you got your microwave, you got your baby monitors, like you got your cell phones and laptops. Like this is all taking, like you're just feels like you're just gonna microwave yourself up.
Well, yeah,
now,
well,
like,
none of them are 5G towers, right? The tower is
well,
down
not
the
towers,
street
but
or
I'm
something.
talking about like the radiations and microwave. Like I'm really not like, you know, I'm probably gonna be using some wrong terms for sure.
That's fine.
So, like, I don't even know what to tell you now. Like, I think I just sent you a picture where it shows like dead bees around a tower.
Yeah. So a picture of dead bees around a tower is not the result of research. This is not coming from.
Why are they dead?
Don't know. Why are they dead? Is a great question. If you cannot conclude that they are dead because of the towers, then the answer is we don't know. Bees die all the time.
These bees, this picture is not dead like, you know, anywhere else. They're just strictly dead underneath this palm tree looking 5G tower.
So what caused them to die? We don't know.
The 5G.
But you don't know that. I don't know that. And the person who posted that doesn't know that. You know who would know that would be an expert in bees and an expert in radio frequency.
If you just even Google up 5G dead bees, there's like countless of pages. Are you saying all these people are wrong?
Yeah. I would go to, for example, the American Bee Journal. That's who I might ask to see, is 5G a problem for bees? And here they say these are the experts, right? American Bee Journal. I trust them more than somebody putting pictures saying, "Oh my goodness, there's dead bees here. They must have been caused by the thing that I want them to be caused by." Right? It's just a correlation.
But see, you just picked a site that you liked.
I picked a site of experts on bees, the American Bee Journal.
But you think you could just call yourself an American Bee Journal? Like I could be like, I'm like Canada Bee Journal.
You could.
I could type that away and be like, no, man.
Yeah.
They're dead because.
And would that give you a history of many years of working with bees and knowledge on bees? It would not. And so that's why someplace like the American Bee Journal.
Because I made honey one time. I went to like a bee hut and I made honey. I could be like, so, you know,
okay.
And there was no 5G towers anywhere around it.
You called it a bee hut. I'm pretty sure that anybody that heard you call it a bee hut would say, I don't think she's an expert.
Well, I was just saying, like, I could call myself, if I really imply myself and use the proper terms, I could just say that I'm an expert in it.
I think so. I took a class in college and university called Expert Systems. It was an artificial intelligence class. And one of our assignments was to interview an expert in something. And the rules were that the person that you interviewed had to be in the particular field for at least 8 years. So doing it full time for 8 years was this particular class's definition of expert.
So if I think of something that I did solid for 8 years, I could call myself an expert?
Potentially, yeah.
Ooh.
Have you done furry
Yes.
stuff for 8 years?
No. So I'm
Okay.
not a furry expert, but
By
Now-
that measure, that's not the only measure, of course. Other people may disagree on how long it takes to become an expert. It's kind of subjective.
so there's no number on that. So
I don't think there is an official
I could-
expertise designation organization.
So I could say that with me and my bee hut that I'm an expert on bees.
You could, and then
Okay.
other people that have done bee stuff for a while might talk to you and say, I don't think she knows much about bees. Right?
Well. Okay. Okie doke.
Yeah, you could go and Matt Schendler says 10,000 hours, which is another measure that some people use from
10,000 hours?
yeah, and what's his name, the 4-hour work week guy, I forgot his name, but yeah, so other people are saying 10,000 hours in a particular field is another measure of expertise, and I think if you multiply 8 years by a number of hours you work in a year, you'll get somewhere close to that anyway. So let's see, 40
So I'm
hours a
definitely-
week, 52 hours a year.
I'm definitely gonna make up a list and things that I'm an expert in. I'm gonna add that to my resume.
There you go. 8 years working full-time at something is 16,500 hours. So that's even more. So there you go. There's two different measures of expertise. So the American Bee Journal, it would probably be people that you would call experts, in my guess, without knowing enough about it to really say for sure. But my guess is that you might find people with at least 8 years of experience writing for the American Bee Journal. So I would go to them before I would go to some person that saw some bees on the ground near a tower.
No,
and
but
said,
that was just a picture. Like that was just a picture. But like I was saying, the 5G bee dying, it's like pages after pages after pages after, like.
Okay, and so
it's not
here's how when we do things in science, we kind of have things that we want to do to make sure that we identify the cause of a problem, right? And do you know how you might go about identifying a cause and eliminating things that are not related?
What do you mean? Sorry,
Well,
I'm just trying to
kind
read
of-
at the same time while I'm.
What kind of method might you use to correctly identify the causal factor in something and eliminate things that are not causal factors? Any methods you could think of that you might
Of what?
that you might use to identify the cause and eliminate non-causes
Oh,
of
I
something?
don't know.
Maybe the scientific method.
That's
What do you think of
that's
that?
one that's one way.
That's a good idea.
That's one way. But also, like, when I was reading about, like, why would 26,000 scientists be opposed of rolling out 5G?
Did you look at any of the people on the list?
Okay, so now
It's
now
funny.
you're saying-
It's
so no,
funny
no,
if you
so
read
wait,
if you
wait,
read the people.
wait. So now you're saying, like, now you're getting to the nitty gritty of, like, well, who are these scientists? Like, first you just
Oh, that's very important.
read off. But
Again,
they're scientists.
an
but they're scientists. Like,
expertise would matter. Hey, I wouldn't care about
how can he be a scientist? Like, he's not a scientist of, like, furries or whatnot. They didn't, like,
yeah.
sign
but
up. They can't just
Have
make
you-
up scientists.
Have you heard the term appeal to authority before?
Appeal to authority.
Yeah, appeal to authority. That's where you find somebody that says something that you like, and then you say and they're somehow an authority figure, right? They maybe are a doctor or they're more educated in something. And you go to them and you say their opinion matters because they're a doctor, right? Their opinion matters more than anybody else. That's an appeal to authority.
Okay.
Generally, an appeal to authority is not very valuable, right? It's you want to actually have evidence supporting it, not just an opinion. It's
Okay,
just
so-
an opinion when you appeal to authority. There is value in it, especially if that person has expertise in that particular field, relevant expertise. So when you look at a list of people that say, I think 5G is bad. What you have is an appeal to authority. You have a collection of opinions. More opinions on it doesn't make it more right. What matters is the evidence, and if some of those people have relevant experience. So if you have 20,000 people that signed a petition, which is basically what it is, and somebody's a veterinarian, well, I don't think they have the relevant experience. Don't care about that.
They're not calling themselves a veterinarian. Like, if you look up scientists who are against 5G, like,
I have.
There's so much.
I have.
I'm sure. Okay. So then you know that.
And on the list is an architect. Does an architect's opinion on 5G matter? No, it doesn't.
Yeah, because they
I would say
they could have architected the tower.
They did, yeah, but that doesn't make them an expert in bees
okay,
and the interactions of bees and radio frequencies, right? So an architect's opinion on the matter, I don't care about.
But you just named, like, you just said one thing.
Because I've looked at the list. I know the list.
So there is a list of scientists, and are you saying every 26,000 or whatever number I came up with, they're all invalid scientists?
Not all.
This is just like
I'm saying the number doesn't matter, because a significant portion of them are people whose opinion doesn't matter just because it's their opinion. So you have a plurality of opinions. It's still just a plurality of appeal to authority. It's still a fallacy. Doesn't matter.
You're saying, like, it doesn't matter. So now you're saying it doesn't matter, like, the amount of scientists that are disagreeing, like.
Correct. It doesn't matter the amount. What matters is.
But there's still scientists that are saying, like, 5G ain't good.
But if you find 20,000 scientists and I find 40,000 scientists that say it's good, do I win?
Not necessarily.
There you go. Right? That's not the important thing.
But if that's not the important thing, but
it's not a popularity contest.
Okay, but it's still saying that there's still some smart ass people saying, like, you know what, son? I won't even want to live near a tower. I don't want to live near a tower at all.
And again, you can find a collection of people that are smart and they have smart donkeys, and they say, I will gladly live next to a 5G tower. Is it biggest number wins? It's not. What matters is evidence. So if somebody says that 5G kills bees, then I would expect to see a peer-reviewed study that controlled for conflating variables and identified that 5G kills bees. None of these exist. And that's the important thing, Mallory. There is no peer-reviewed study that says, that I've seen. Maybe I've not read all the studies. Maybe there are some, but I've not seen any that says we controlled variables and we identified that 5G definitely is related.
Do you ever went somewhere and there was like a field of those like towers and whatnot? Do you ever? I had a friend that lived like across this like huge line of cell towers. I had such a horrible time sleeping. Like this, the
placebo effect is powerful.
Placebo effect. I didn't back then when we were like, oh man, these are 5G towers. I know I'm gonna have a rough night sleeping. It felt like when I was sleeping, it's like sleeping near like a giant freaking microwave or whatnot. It just felt like.
You've slept next to a giant friggin' microwave for the whole night when it's on?
No, I never slept.
I know. It's a simile. I get it. So the thing is, I would expect to see a study saying that it kills bees before I would put any credence to that. Then on top of it, when the American Bee Journal or some other place says, don't worry about bees.
I don't trust this American Bee Journal. They could have just made a web. Okay, it's not hard to make up a website.
So go investigate who the American Bee Journal is. But it definitely is, at the very least, the same credibility of a random person on the internet saying, here's a bunch of bees on the ground next to a tower.
Well, I don't know what's more convincing when you see bees, a picture, a real life picture with bees.
It's zero convincing. There's zero convincingness to that because you don't know what happened. Could they have sprayed pesticides? Could have. You don't know. Could it have been something
Why would anyone
else?
kill bees when the bees are? There was like this huge bee movement not too long ago.
Don't know.
How
But bees
bees
have
are
come
life.
back. Bees have come back now. You know that?
Well, did you see now? I didn't really look into this, but I remember seeing. But did you where maybe you know like when they made those like robotic bees and it's like clone bees. It's not even real bees. It's like um they're they're like little mini robots.
What the hell are you talking about?
You never heard of that? Like they like these labs fabricated these mosquitoes and bees and they were not even real.
They're just robot bees.
Yeah.
I saw that movie. It was a great movie.
That was in a movie. The bee movie is a cartoon. I'm not talking about cartoons.
Are you sure? The bee movie was great. Actually, I fell asleep in it twice. I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't like the bee movie much. Did fall asleep. All right.
Oh wait, 1 sec. I don't know. Maybe if you want to read your trooper chat. I just see
your coffee.
Tiny robotic bees could change the world. This is on National Geographic. This man
Is it could?
Who's
okay? I don't know how that has any.
Good?
I don't know how that has anything to do with real bees. It doesn't have much to do with real bees. I got to tell you.
I'm just saying.
Or
like
5G.
You said that the bees are coming back because the bees were like going extinct for a while, right? And
I don't think extinct is the word.
I've been finding this stuff. Robot bees. We're becoming AI. Like it's even our food is like half plastic. Do you ever saw those like things where they try to? Do you ever like bought ice cream and try to like and you forgot it on the counter and you come back and it's almost like still not even melted? Like half our shit's. Oh, you're eating ice cream. What is that?
It's pudding? It's pudding. My kid made pudding. Never mind me. Keep going.
I'm trying to have a grown-up conversation, and
I know
you're eating pudding.
It's good pudding.
Is it good though? Is it vanilla?
It's vanilla with chocolate frosting.
Enjoy your beaver butt.
It was. Oh my gosh! You've looked up.
I got that from the last show when I didn't know what artificial vanilla was.
Yeah. Do you know the name? Do you know this little guy right here? Do you know what his name is? Vanilla. No. That's my. Yep, that's vanilla. My kid made eclairs for the last day of French class today. That's why we have leftover pudding because he misses scale. Flat Earthers miss scale too, but he's like, we got some Jello or some pudding packets for you to make, and he's like, okay, so he made all 4 for like 12 eclairs. So, all right, let me ask here. Let's see. I've got
dessert.
Yeah, it's good. The chocolate is good. Mr. Unite for the Children says, or no, wait, I'll start with Greenville says, is Team going to be on later or is he actually on right now? And then Mr. Unite, no, he's going to be on later. Mr. Unite for the Children says the Mallory / Team Skeptic thing is the biggest conspiracy since Paul is dead.
And you guys make fun of like us conspiracy theorists and flurfers, and I've never seen a group of people that you globers call yourself smart and stuff, and the things that all the conspiracies that you're coming up with me and such is just mind baffling. Like never insult a flurf ever.
Don't worry.
Just
don't worry.
Don't do it.
Team will be on later. This whole thing will be put to bed. Actually, I'm gonna send him
to bed.
I'm gonna send him a link in a second here. All right. A new member, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Welcome, Marky Mark.
Good vibrations.
Wrong song. Wrong band.
I thought that was Marky Mark in the. Oh,
could be.
Okay, my bad.
I think Good Vibrations is more 70s, but that's fine. I Hate Smartphones says for $9.99 says I often transmit at higher power levels than the 5G transmitters do, and I don't get hair loss or burns. I am subjected to EMF all the time, and I get none of that. So yeah,
anyone could say anything online, apparently.
Of course. Well,
but
here's
but the one thing said, if you're hypersensitive, so if you have like fibromyalgia or whatever, you're more sensitive than just normal people, right? So those people that has sensitivity to it are suffering at the moment.
Well, the thing is about hypersensitivity is that nobody has ever found any actual evidence that somebody is hypersensitive. So I have here on my website at mctoon.net //
Are you denying fibromyalgia? And
no, I'm denying electromagnetic sensitivity. That people can actually sense electromagnetism. So on my website, mc2.net /EMS, I have electromagnetic sensitivity, and it's a handful of studies. I think it's 5 different studies where they tested to see if people could sense electromagnetic radiation. Every one of them found that nobody could sense it. It was the same as just random guesses.
That no one could sense radiation.
Absolutely. At the low levels that are used for cell phones. At really high levels, you can feel heat.
But then they showed, you saw those videos where it showed like when a person was talking on a cell phone, and then they looked up the cells and the radiation on it, and there was like a difference, and this was just talking on your cell phone. Or they made it that those women that used to like put their phones inside their bra to hold there, it was like causing breast cancer.
Again, I would like to see a study on that controls for conflating variables. 1 person, 2 people, 3 people having some particular anecdote isn't proof. It is a plurality of anecdotes. That's all you got. You need to control to make sure that there wasn't something else going on. So you take 100 people, for example, and have 100 of them that do the same thing with their cell phone, and then get a different group of 100 people that don't do that thing with their cell phone, and then find out over time were the people with the doing a particular activity more likely to have something happen to them than the people that did not. That is science, because you have a test group and a control group, and then you can identify the difference between the 2 groups. Right? Now, let me just finish this here. These studies on electromagnetic sensitivity, 5 different studies, physiological tests, provocation of subjects with mobile phone related symptoms. So they found people that said, we are sensitive to cell phones. And then they tested to see if they actually are by doing things, and you could read the study right there. Download it yourself. Read it and see, here's what they did and how they controlled to make sure that the people being tested weren't able to know what was going on. The conclusion, the results of our studies do not support the hypothesis that exposure to MP-like RF fields can explain perceived MP-attributed symptoms, nor that exposure affects memory functions. MP is mobile phone. So they couldn't find they couldn't find even a correlation. So there's more of them. I'll leave that to people watching, or leave that to you, Mallory, to look at later.
Okay.
But let me get back to what I Hate Smartphones said. He said that I often transmit at higher power levels than 5G transmitters do. So the phone in your hand, do you own a cell phone?
Yeah.
The phone in your hand will expose you to more RF power than any cell tower can, because it's close to you. And it's very much about proximity, right? So if you have a single light bulb in your room and you're right next to it, you can see it. It's really bright. And if you put that in a warehouse and you go to the other side of the warehouse, you can still see it, but it's not very bright. So that's, as the farther away you get from things like that, they reduce in power. So the phone next to you has to send a signal powerful enough to get to the tower. So it's the most powerful thing that you're going to experience when it comes to cell phones. The tower sending back only needs to be strong enough to get to your phone and have your phone understand it. So right next to the tower, it's powerful, but when it's down at your phone in your hand, it's not.
Interesting.
There you go. And the cool thing about the protocols since 3G, but it's very well tuned in 4G and 5G, is that the tower and the phone are constantly telling each other how well they hear each other. So when the phone, every bit that the phone sends back to the tower says, here's how well I can hear you. And the tower says, oh, you can hear me too loud, I'm going to reduce my power. Or you don't hear me enough because maybe you're walking away or you're on the other side of the house and there's another wall between you. I'll send out a stronger signal. Pretty cool. That reduces people's exposure. It also reduces the electricity used. Stringer News 1 says, I am the walrus, goo. Sorry, Stringer News 1, I'm not old enough to know that song. There you go. I Hate Smartphones says, I have a ham radio license. Very cool. I Hate Smartphones. Have you ever done an Earth, Moon, Earth bounce with your ham radio? That would be cool. I've not done that, but I'd like to talk to somebody that has, or maybe can even do it in real time. Wouldn't that be awesome? David Oliver says, we are saying the Earth is a globe. You're not believing that, are you? Ooh. So he's going to the point, Mallory, where you're like, well, somebody online said something. Why would they say that if it's not true?
Yeah.
And David Oliver is saying the Earth is a globe. Why would he say that if it's not true? It's just words until you actually, yeah, exactly. Until you actually like explore it.
Yeah. So. Like, I just think this is fascinating because like I've been trying to look all this up and it feels like, well, I'm glad I'm getting educated about it because it is pretty worrisome, especially when you're just, I don't know, Googling it up and it just comes with like, you know, when the Google like just asks, like it presents like with the questions and you just like keep on like clicking it. And next thing you know, and you're not going into like conspiracy sites or whatnot, because I'm not bringing up the weird mumbo jumbo shit. I'm bringing up stuff that like it seems.
Well, if somebody says that the active denial system has anything to do with 5G, that is mumbo jumbo.
But I don't know, like I read somewhere like I saved a lot of pages and it's like scattered all over, but I've read that it hasn't been the 5G towers hasn't been confirmed that there's long-term effects on it.
So what is the new feature in 5G that's different from 4G?
Well, I get it that 5G is just a number from 4G, but it's still the cell towers.
Okay, so like it's not just
adding
5G.
More towers, but I still even find the 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 4G plus, and 5. Like you could just add as many numbers as you can.
Yeah.
I still don't find safe where when you add all the towers all around us, and like even my building and the building around like you look on the roofs and it has like all this, like this is not, it's not natural. It's not a tree. It doesn't leave good oxygen, or it's a cute little butterfly or a bee putting pollen. Like there's got to be some kind of long-term effects. Like if we look at that one site where it says radiations causes like skin burn, skin cancer, vision loss, tissue, blah blah blah. Like
radiation does, but that is about what type of radiation that causes skin burns. This is
underneath 5G technology, cell phones, phone towers,
and
what
antennas. But what website? Who is the source of this information?
Canada.ca.
All right, send it.
Okay, oh, neato. Okay. Let's dissect this. Hold on. That's the site, and this is where I got it from. Hold on.
Okay.
I got too many Splatterwatters open because that's where I clicked it, and then I just started clicking on
What's
them.
a splatterwatter?
Means like I have like so many windows open, and
Oh,
I'm trying to find a
it's like
certain site,
you
and I
have a bunch of
can't.
open tabs.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a certain site that I thought it was Nito, but I keep opening the same old sites, and I, it's just a.
You got to be careful when you have lots of open tabs. Sometimes there's more tabs than you have hands.
Is that drink even good?
Tab is terrible.
So you just like drink it and you don't even like it?
Well, it's helpful to have open tabs when you're doing high IQ research.
Oh. You know, I just want to give myself like
I'm sorry, don't let me get you off track. So the links you sent, none of them were at Canada.ca. I'm trying to look at the links
that is
that you
Canada. That's
sent. Or the screenshots you sent. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, not the screenshot. I sent you 2 links from Canada.
Oh, okay. I see.
Canada.ca, where the first site, where the first link was just they're smushing all together 5G technology, cell phone towers, and antennas. So I was like reading.
So here I have it up. We can look at it now. So here, right. This is awesome. It says on this page, ionizing radiation, non-ionizing radiation, and then noise, which is acoustical radiation, which is sound, right? So which is not what we're really talking about. Now, ionizing radiation, do you know what that is?
Like iodine?
No. Ionizing radiation is radiation that's powerful enough to interact with the atoms in matter, and it will hit an electron and then send the electron off. And then that electron is no longer bound to the atom, creating an ion. So an ion is when an atom has too many or too few electrons. And so when that happens, like in the human body, in DNA, if a DNA molecule gets ionized by having an electron sent away, then it now wants to bind with something else. So rather than being kind of stable like it is when it's in DNA, it says, I got to bind with something else. So it can go bind with something else, modifying the DNA. And then the thing comes back to replicate the DNA. And if it's an error that is like, it might just say, sorry, we're going to chuck the DNA. I'm not deep into biology here. So I'm very much watering this down. But if it's something that can be replicated when that DNA is replicated, then it survives. And if it changes something drastic or dramatic, it can actually modify your DNA in a bad way that can cause cancer or other things like that. That's ionizing radiation. And a lot of it is bad. And I mean, a lot of it, I mean like a large amount of it, a large exposure to ionizing radiation is bad. But that is much, much higher frequency than radio. So you've got radio, you've got light, you've got ionizing radiation on the other side. They're drastically different from each other. That's ionizing radiation. X-rays are ionizing radiation. But you get X-rays sometimes, right? If you go to the dentist or you are sick or there's something wrong with you, you might get an X-ray. That's ionizing radiation. Then non-ionizing radiation, that's lower frequency stuff like radio frequency, not ionizing. So this part here that talks about ionizing radiations, hair loss, skin redness, radiation burns, that's not about radio frequency stuff.
But they put that with the 5G, like whatever I was reading, because I was clicking on.
So if anybody says 5G and then starts talking about these types of symptoms, we know immediately that they don't understand the difference between ionizing and non-ionizing radiation.
But why would they put all this underneath the section of where I got it from, 5G technology, cell phones and cell phone towers and antennas?
On like, this page? This page isn't talking about it. So maybe we'll come to that page in a minute. This is just kind of foundational information. This is good stuff here. Okay. So let's stick with ionizing. Chronic exposure happens when there's exposure to low doses of radiation over years, even. And chronic exposure, single low dosage, and acute exposure can cause long-term health effects, which don't appear until many years after exposure. For example, if there's DNA damage, increased risk of cancer due to ionizing radiation. Now you've got non-ionizing radiation right here. I'd scroll too far. Health effects can occur if the intensity, the power, like the volume of sound, right? If it's high enough, but it has to be high. So there's a few things here, but now light that you see is non-ionizing radiation, right? Infrared light can cause tissue heating. You feel that when you go outside in the summer, even in Canada, right? Now, strong light into your eyes can cause vision loss. So protect your eyes, wear sunglasses if you're outside, right? Mm-hmm. You can get sunburn. UV can cause cataracts, sunburns, and skin cancer. UV light is on the edge of ionizing, so it's right up there, and some of it overlaps into ionizing, and that's where you can get it. Okay, so that's the foundational stuff, and we'll leave off the noise here because, annoyance. For example, annoyance, country music. So, all right, this other one you sent, I'll grab that.
No, I re-looked at it, and I pretty much, because I thought it was all together, because as soon as you go on the first one, it says 5G technology and cell phone towers. And then when I went to scrolled at the bottom, it says related links. And that's where I got the health effects of radiation.
Okay.
Because I really did a mistake on that, because I associated 5 technology cell phone towers and stuff with radiation, and I thought it was the same thing.
Okay, well, good. They're not quite the same, and the cell phones are non-ionizing, low power. Okay, are we good with that?
Yeah, but so it's really like you really need to pay attention.
Yeah.
But what I think it's weird is like, okay, so I'm not the smartest like person, and just me doing just that, I was like, yeah, that ain't good. But then it's like, but then when you put like all the pieces together with all those scientists, if any of those 26,000 scientists, one of those happen to watch your channel, I hope they come on and challenge you.
Absolutely. Come on, people.
God damn, like, come on. Why would they have like gigantic protests about like stop the 5G if
wait, where have the big protests on 5G been? Where's the biggest you've seen? I've seen like 20 people at some protests in England.
I don't know. I was like collecting a bunch of pictures of people protesting for 5G, and that seems like seems.
Now, a lot of people are protesting these days, and so you know, different people with different pet causes are mixed into different crowds, right? You got, I'm just not even going to go over the list, right? Whatever topic du jour you can pick, you might find 20 different topics in a crowd. So I've not seen an actual like big protest specifically for 5G. I've seen small ones.
All it takes is a few numbers to make a difference. But I try to get, I'm getting your point at the same, like that. It is a topic that actually concerned me. And the more that I was looking at it and the more I was like trying to figure it out, the more I was like, shit, well, I'm glad I'm talking to you about it. Like, even though I'll probably still sit on the fence to be like, I don't know, there has to be, I don't trust towers at all. Like, I don't trust, like, if they're putting like towers with radiation and all kinds of shit, like it's just not natural. Like, I think
it is not natural.
It's not natural, and I'm sure there's good.
But neither is a lot of the things we do. Right?
Not natural.
Furry costumes are not natural. Come on. Right?
I mean, it's natural.
So
come on.
I don't think
You're
think
the one who did a
saying it's
video in a furry outfit, so
I'm hey that's day one and probably the last day of me being a furry.
well, it's on the net now. Now you'll always be
I'm sure, yeah,
a
like I
furball.
said, I'm sure that will be a 1 million view video by tomorrow. There is a guy in our community called BM Furball. Maybe he is a furry as well. All right, so let me get a couple more. I'm behind on these here. Connell Silverfur, who may or may not be a furry, says, Mallory, correlation does not equal causation. That's an important thing that science tries to eliminate is finding a correlation and thinking that they're somehow related. Right. And then same person, Connell Silverfur, says Wi-Fi is nowhere near the same as microwave rads. Now, you probably don't know what that means, right? That rads is a way of measuring exposure.
Yeah, nope.
So
I'm learning some nerd stuff today.
Now, here's the cool thing. Wi-Fi is 2.4 gigahertz. Microwaves are 2.4 gigahertz. But a microwave oven is somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 1,000 watts inside a box. The box is set up at a particular size so that the stuff gets stuck inside and goes back and forth like in a pool where you maybe go back and forth, or the bathtub, or where you can get these standing waves going. The size of the microwave is very critical for that, and it's shielded so it can't get out. So it really is a way to focus the energy in there. Wi-Fi is much, much lower. 1 watt is a common amount for a Wi-Fi router in your home. So not even in the same like amount of power range. So, all right. Oh, and Rokai Thane says, again, Mallory, correlation does not equal causation. It's an important thing to remember. Schrodinger's cat, thank you, Schrodinger's cat, says, dead bees around a tower? Checkmate! You got served, Toon.
Thank you.
He's an electrical engineer. I'm going to guess he's maybe with me more than...
So
that was sarcasm.
So this electrical engineer just said checkmate on that.
Yeah, sarcasm. Sarcasm.
No, it didn't say. He didn't say it right after that. This was sarcasm.
Sorry, Mr. Cat. You should have done a /s on the end.
Just put that point there for me. We just confirmed that 5G kills bees. Thank you. Next question.
Oh my gosh. If it only worked that way. Connell Silverfur says, Mallory, argumentum ad populum. Enough said. That's Latin for argument because of popularity, right? Which is a fallacy, right? The more people that agree with something doesn't make it more right. In fact, the correct number of people that are necessary to have an opinion about something for that opinion to be right is 0. If everybody in the world agrees on one particular thing, if they're wrong, they're still wrong. Just because they agree doesn't make it right. Right? And I'll give you, when you talk about flat Earth, if everybody in the world says the Earth is a globe except for you, Mallory, does that make it a globe just because everybody says it?
No.
No. If everybody in the world says the Earth is flat except for Bruno, and he says the Earth is a globe, and the people in authority say, you got to quit saying that or we're going to burn you, does that change the shape of the world or not?
It shouldn't, but at the same time, like, what's weird is, like, why would authorities and stuff like that, it's like when I sent you 2 videos about the 5G protests and whatnot, and they both got flagged, and it's like, like even certain topics, like you're not allowed, like not allowed, but it just gets like zucked and what's not. It really makes your mind starts, that little hamster wheel going.
So for people wondering, Mallory sent me she made a video just for this. It's kind of a protest video. I'll play it for you. And and I uploaded it to YouTube and left it unlisted to see if YouTube would approve of it, just for safety. And twice, she drastically different videos actually. Both of them YouTube flagged as they didn't like it. They wouldn't allow advertising for it. So I'm still gonna play it.
Yeah.
If this gets demonetized, then the playbacks I'll appeal it. But yeah.
Yeah, like the first one and the third one was all good. Like this is the most serious videos that I ever made.
They are? I mean, they're fine, but they weren't very serious.
They were serious. There was no feeds, no furries.
Oh, I get it.
It was it. So between me and you, I'm sitting here,
Between me and you and the people listening, yes.
I'm the serious one.
All right. Theo Fungi for £5 says, help bees by growing fungi. Mycelium mushrooms, or buy mushroom feeder online. Get info from Paul Stamets. Love your globe. So there it is. And I have seen talk about a fungus being part of the issues with bee problems. So
interesting.
There you go. Mycelium. And his name is Theo Fungi. I wonder if he has some knowledge about fungus or something like that. I don't know. Just his name. Stringer News 1 says American Bee Journal or Egg Council. And then an egg emoji. I don't know what that... I don't know what that's about. So... Indie Tiger for $5 says perhaps bees are meditating. Sorry, that's what he said. I had to read it. I don't have to read everything. If people are mean, I'm not going to read it. But Mallory, I think they've been pretty nice to you, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm all good. Like there's been a lot of talk smack and it's coming from small minds. The ones that insult.
People like you, Mallory. People do. When I put the thing up saying that you were going to be on, I got a bunch of people that contacted me and said, "Hey, I like Mallory. I like Mallory. Be nice." So
you don't have to be nice. Just be yourself, and that's what counts.
I'm going to say, be nice, people. This is my stream, and in the chat, be nice. But we can have fun. We can do a video.
Well, that's why
of furries with the globe.
You did it's kind of funny. I'm the one that kind of was like, you know what? I'm gonna put on my nerd glasses, and I'm gonna come up with some good things that I'm sure that we could discuss and you could debunk, because it's because I actually find this fascinating, and I'm trying to be as real as possible, and because I've seen those protests, because of those websites, and I know like you just said, like I misclicked on the Canada website and it showed like other related links to that. So I hope more people listen to this, because it's quite scary, because I will admit, like sometimes I'll have a hard time sleeping because I'm thinking about all these things, and I'm just like, man, like, so it's good to come on here and just to talk about it, but it will probably tune down like my paranoia for a few things, but I'm probably going to still be a little skeptic till I start looking more into it myself and try to figure it out.
Sure. And I'll be glad, and I'm sure there's other people in the chat here that would be glad to help you understand these topics when you are questioning. So
yeah.
All right. So I did send the link to Team Skeptic, so I'm sure he'll be on shortly. AT2 is asking, what's the problem you have with nerds?
What?
I think he is embracing his nerdiness and is wondering why you are...
Embrace it.
Yeah. And that's AT2, who you spoke to a week ago.
Oh?
Remember him? And people... So Jared, right? Military guy, the Eagle.
Okay, yeah.
His voice and my voice are apparently the same. I can't tell. But somebody contacted me, is like, why are you talking so mean? Like, I'm not even on there. What are you talking about? Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind. Richard Ashton for £5 says, I live near a 5G tower and love this debate. You get all three of my thumbs up.
Did he just say 3?
Yeah, I only have 2.
Well.
I need to move closer to a 5G tower.
There's this man that just confirmed that he's by a cell phone tower and he just got himself an extra thumb. Do not play Street Fighter versus that guy. I would never play a game.
No kidding. That guy smashes it in fork knife. Stringer News 1 for $5 says, never insult a flurf. No need. They're self-insulting. Can't argue with that. Cretan Paul, this is good. Cretan, how do you say eclair in French?
Eclair.
It sounds pretty close, except a little in the back there. Cretan Bull for 5 Canadian says, you make eclairs in French class. In my French class, I got my hand hit with a ruler because I couldn't conjugate in the future imperfect verb tense. I took Latin in high school, and
Latin?
I did. I remember e isti it istis emis erunt. There you go. The endings to something I don't know what particular. Past perfect tenses.
That's a wild language to learn.
It is. Well, Russian was taken. Russian was conflicted with something else.
Learn Russian. I only know French and English, and they're both shitty.
What?
I know.
I mean, French, sure, yes, but come on, English.
I'm losing it.
We rule the world, man. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We're all gonna learn Chinese someday here. Mr. Tube, first name Fa, middle name Q, says, Mallory, anyone can say something on the internet. Yes. Also, Mallory quotes anti-5G stuff from the internet. It does seem a problem there, doesn't it?
Mm.
So yes, and even studies that are published have challenges, right? There are journals that are less credible than other journals. In fact, there's a list of journals that are called predatory journals. So if you see something and you're like, this seems a little fishy, let me check to see if that journal is legit. There are some very much not legit journals where you say it's peer reviewed, but it's never reviewed. So do you know what peer review means?
No.
So when somebody does an experiment and then writes a paper on it, you don't know necessarily that the person doing it is legit. They may have some opinion that they want to do. They may just want some notoriety because they published something, because you certainly can get a better job if you have a whole bunch of publications, right? It's part of a scientist's resume or CV if they have lots of things that are published. So then a journal who wants to be, doing their due diligence, they will say, well, we're going to go pick a couple people. They're going to review your thing and make sure that your procedures were good, that your math was good, that your, how you did stuff was on the level. And maybe they'll know other stuff on the topic to find out whether or not the results that you found seem legitimate. And then they'll go back and forth sometimes with some we found an error here. Can you give more information about this? Stuff like that. And more well-respected journals will do this in a much more rigorous manner. So like the journal Nature, for example, is very rigorous. If somebody gets published in Nature, it's very significant. If somebody gets published in MedCrave, it doesn't mean a whole lot because they say they do peer review, but they don't. And people have tested this by publishing stuff with garbage in it that just basically says, I'm just writing stuff. They actually write, I'm just writing stuff and I don't think you're going to review it. And then it gets published because nobody read it.
Why would real scientists just publish garbage?
For notoriety, for better pay, to try to make a point.
Don't you have like a I don't know,
I'd hope
like
that
a
they
like a
have.
doctor, like you would have to do your best. You know, you're not gonna be like, I'm a doctor now, I'm gonna do a shitty job doing a
I-
surgery or some shit.
You'd
Like
hope.
if I called myself a scientist, I wouldn't be publishing baloney.
An excellent point. So let me give you an example here. This is something by Vera Rubin. This is kind of her breakthrough thing. It's pretty thick. This went
Thick.
against years and years and years of science. It was groundbreaking and people did not like it. She had a very hard time getting this published. In the end, after she did this, and then over time, people are like, wow, that was right. Very good job, Vera. But she had a hard time doing it because it rocked the boat. And good for her for pushing it, because she could have just quit and said,
What? Wait, what was it about?
Rotational properties of 21 SC galaxies with a large range of luminosities and radii. This is the galaxy rotation problem, which is still a problem, and they've hypothesized dark matter as a cause, but they have not confirmed it yet. Make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of niche.
I'm just gonna smile and nod on that one, okay?
Yep. So that particular one, when she wanted to publish that, other people looked at it and reviewed it. Now, here's the thing about peer review. If you can knock down somebody else's thing, that's good for you, because somebody else was publishing crap and you are the one that's like, no. I identified their crap and it's out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's like street cred for that person. Or if you can publish another paper or an experiment that totally trashes on somebody else's well-established stuff, that's huge. And that's often can get you a Nobel Prize in science. Right?
No.
Okay. That's peer review. And it's hard to do. And if you've ever spoken to anyone that has put something through peer review, it sucks, because the people that are trying to take apart your stuff they can be brutal and cruel. And sometimes, especially if you're doing something that kind of contradicts something else by somebody else, the guy who's like the main champion for that something else might be the guy reviewing your stuff and has a chip on his shoulder against you already coming in. And if you can make it through that, that's awesome. That shows that you got through that kind of minefield. So, all right, that's peer review. All right, we've got David for $4.99. It says, we'd have to wait for an eon for an iota of evidence that ions in a bee hut are more dangerous than furries in a Pizza Hut.
Well,
oh my gosh, David. I got to read that again. Hold on. That is fantastic, David. We'd have to wait an eon for an iota of evidence that ions in a bee hut are more dangerous than furries in a Pizza Hut. Well said, David. I love that.
That's cute.
Oh, now yesterday I was on a YouTube channel by a guy named Hugh Jars. Have you heard of Hugh Jars?
No, but that name's funny.
Yeah, I highly recommend that everybody subscribe to Hugh Jars.
What is he about?
What is he about? He talks about flat Earth and how it's kind of silly.
Oh, does he have a huge bum?
Oh, funny you'd ask. I don't know. I never thought of it.
That's my first question.
Let's say maybe. Let's go with maybe on there.
Okay.
Okay, this is a little techie one here. I Hate Smartphones says, I have the Yaesu FT80. It's the highest power level is 80 watts. The antenna is right above my head in the center of my roof. And no, I haven't. But I want to talk to astronauts on the ISS. So no, he's not done a moon bounce, the EME, Earth, Moon, Earth bounce. You can send a signal to the moon and it comes back 2.6 seconds later. Really cool. 80 watt antenna. So an 80 watt antenna right above his head right now is more powerful than a 5G tower down the street. And it's closer. So there you go.
All right.
Raven Zero Tune, I just subscribed. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you very much, Raven Zero. And we've got Connell Silverfur says, Code Monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Absolutely. I've had my share of Mountain Dew. Basically, I write software. That's what I do for my career. And code is just basically processed caffeine. You caffeine in, code out. That's how it works. Fohammer335 says, we can all tell Toon is very, very expert on this. I would not consider myself a very, very expert on 5G. He's saying that because there's a guy who is very much not an expert in 5G that calls himself, quote, very, very expert in 5G. Is that
Mike Steele?
Mark Steele, yes.
Mark Steele.
Mark Steele.
I've
this
seen
guy here.
Seen him, and I saw his quote, I'm very, very expert. And then when he was like talking about machinery or like gunners, like, yeah, when I was 11 or something like that. Oh, that dude's embarrassing.
Yeah, he bought a book when he was 11 on ICBMs and handguns, 2 different books, and therefore he's an expert, a weapons system expert. Fohammer 335 says those are fighting words. Doesn't like country. I mean, I do it for health reasons, Fohammer. Right? Listening to country at any volume can damage the soul.
Try listening to Kip Moore.
Probably not going to happen.
You'll enjoy it.
I can't imagine.
I'm not even a country fan, and I vouch for him.
I don't. Johnny Cash. That's it, man. It's Johnny Cash. Connell Silverfur says, I am a furry. Yes. Not really into suits, though. So Connell Silverfur is furry, but does not wear a suit.
Yeah, there's different levels of furriness.
There is?
Yep. Like you could just like go around and wear like cat ears, or like, because I have like cat ears accessories, or you could just go around wearing like a tail all around.
Yep. Maybe I should add a tail to my daily wardrobe.
Okay. You should add a tail for sure.
Isa says, please tell her I absolutely love her for what she just said about Mark Steele. There you go.
Well, yep.
Jeez. Bowhammer335 says, alcohol is natural, and I'm going to dump a half gallon of 150 proof liquor into my eye sockets and drink the other half gallon after seeing McFurry. MC Furry.
Oh.
I will put a picture of myself wearing that furry suit on the Discord server, people. I will be doing that later tonight.
Yeah.
So, yep. Logical Hillbilly says, Mallory, you seem like a very caring person, but please learn what is real and what is BS. I promise your life will be much more satisfying.
I'm trying to.
There you go. And you know what? I think you've been quite open to that. And from what I've said, I'm not the one to trust. I can send you the information, and I have a lot of it on my website, mc2.net/5G. And you can learn these things. It's not too difficult to figure out.
Well, that's
and learn.
why I tried looking as much as I can and showing you what my concerns were, and for you to talk about it, right? I'm not going to sit here like Mark Steele and be like, I'm very, very expert. I'm telling you this, you know what I mean? Like I'm willing to learn. And when you said that you were the 5G guy, I was like, all right, because I'm just trying to like figure this out, because I saw those video protests. I saw those people putting banners of anti-5G. I've seen those people were like confusing. Like the one girl that she did a protest. You did a video of her.
Sally Beer?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she doesn't know she's definitely against 5G, but she doesn't know what new part of 5G causes harm. How could she be against 5G if she doesn't know what's bad about it?
Yeah, and that's what I was like trying to look up, like so after like seeing that, I was like, okay, so I'll throw those out in the trash because you had debunked those. So I'm gonna try to find out like because I know I'm not the only one, and I know that there's other people that are on my level who will just look up the information and base off from what I read, pretty like I was pretty sure that 5G kills bees and stuff. And there's like what when I was like telling you that there's like pages and pages and pages and pages, and you're like, nah, like it's pretty fascinating how how one could be looking into this. Like I may at the end still be skeptical about it, but I could always like drop links and you could be like, well, this is what it is, and it's quite neat.
Yeah. Well, good. I will say something. Right next to a transmitter, the power is much higher, and within the first certain distance of it, it can be too hot for a small animal. Yes.
Well,
But if they're
see,
not
and then
close, they're not close enough. It can't get hot enough.
but then see that's what confuses me is like when like the last link that I showed you is like what you should know about cell towers in your neighborhood. And it says studies link cell tower radiations to the following, and it gives you like this long list of like of bad things. And then it um like how can you not think after that, and after all the things that I've tried to showing you, that these towers are wrong, that they're not right, like they shouldn't have these towers anywhere.
Um, yeah, you have to separate anecdotal evidence from real evidence. So,
So
and
the link that I just showed you, so are you saying like these people, because it says links and where they got
the
it from, and
civicweb.net, I'll look at that quick.
yeah, and then it shows like where they got their information at the like near the bottom. And it's it's like, and this is like one of the things where I think they also brought up birds and the bees, or like when I showed you the like why would a university say that birds were like giving deformed eggs after that? Like this is coming from like a university, so you're just going to
Yeah. So
discredit
no,
universities now?
I would love to look at that.
I gave you
Yeah.
the screenshot where one of them said uh, that the university was talking about deformed eggs. Hold on.
Yeah. A screenshot doesn't let me, you
Yeah,
know.
but it shows the site like
Okay.
from
Okay.
columbia.edu, where it was like a Punjab university found sparrows exposed to cell towers radiation from 5 to 30 minutes produce disfigured eggs.
Okay.
So
Is
are you
that,
saying
is
like
that,
5G towers are different from cell towers?
no, 5G is cell towers.
Okay.
So,
So
did you send that already?
I I
Because you
only
sent me
gave
like 9 screenshots in one set there. I'm looking at it here. Oh, can it track you? It can't
one,
any
two,
different.
three, four. I think it's the fourth one. It says why 5G is bad for the environment. And then it
The
says a Punjab university found sparrows.
okay. Where's Punjab people?
Is that India?
That's right.
Okay, so now are you saying like now we're getting picky, like
No,
where you want the school from?
I'm just saying that my old neighbor was a Punjabi, and
Okay.
I'm sad that they moved away because man, did they make some good food. They bring stuff over all the time. I'm trying to find which one is um the Punjab study. Oh my gosh, I'm not finding it. I'm sorry. You sent 9 in one go. You said it's the fourth, but I'm not seeing it in there.
Hold on. I'll just
Okay, that'll work. There's one says, if I could get birds to lay scrambled eggs, I'd be a millionaire. Absolutely. You know what? We got some duck eggs. We hard-boiled duck eggs and then colored them for Easter. And then this morning, one of my kids tried it. It's like, oh, it wasn't cooked. And my wife's like, is that right? And so she got her own and opened it up, and it's a duck egg. And I've never had a hard-boiled duck egg before. And she opens it up, and it's almost all yolk. And I'm like, I don't like the yolk of a hard-boiled egg that much. And I'm like, I'm not going to eat it. She takes a bite of it, and she's like, whoa, spits it out, says, nope, that's not good. I'm never going to hard-boil a duck egg again.
Wild. I never tried a duck egg. I don't think that I would.
Okay. Let's see. The full deployment of 5G could have a disruptive impact on ecosystems. A Punjab University study found that sparrows exposed to cell tower radiation for 5 to 30 minutes produced disfigured eggs. In Spain, the nesting and breeding, roosting of birds was disturbed by microwave radiation from a cell tower. Okay. And that is, and I'm going to, it just has blogs.ei.columbia.edu. That's not a URL. I can't look that up. So, Team Skeptic was going to come on, and now he's on somebody else's channel right now. All right, he'll come on after. Guaranteed. I don't know what's wrong with him. He was supposed to come on here. Totally. All right. Can you get the URL to that? Or, because it's just a screenshot, unfortunately. I'll put it up on the screen for everybody to see. Come on. Downloaded. There it is. Here it comes. All right. Everybody can see that. So there you go. People, maybe you want to search for that and you can find it quick. Mallory, I bet the people could find that link actually for us quickly here. So, let's see. Corsi sent me a different song for the video, but it was the song from I forgot who it was, and with different lyrics. The whole thing was identified as copyright and said you can't publish it at all. So I had to go with a different song in the end. Anyway, Corsi says, Mallory, I'm still getting a kick out of your fandom. I don't care if you think I am mean, but you are too crazy to be one of us.
Who?
Corsi.
Like one of who?
Corsi Husky. I think a furry, because he sent me a song about furries. The first time I got my furry suit, something like that. K-Do says, be positive.
Be
with two
happy.
B's, 2 E's. So there you go. Marshall Beats says, here's a couple quid. Don't spend it all at once. Okay. It's going to get converted into dollars. I don't know. Maybe I could extract just them as quid and then pop across the pond and spend it over there. That'd be great. I want to come to England when I hit 100,000 subs. So people share my video or something. Indie Tiger says, Mallory, try yoga nidra when you can't sleep. Guided meditation to help you sleep. Look it up on YouTube. Helps me all the time.
I tried all kinds of things.
For me, niacinamide, time release niacinamide. I take half a pill and I'm out. And like I can wake up and then go right back to sleep. It's very nice. It's a vitamin. It's a B.
What's
vitamin.
the difference between that and melatonin?
Your body produces melatonin naturally in your pituitary. Not your pituitary. I'm forgetting. It's the wrong pineal gland, I think is what. Anyway, you have a gland that produces melatonin. If you don't produce enough melatonin, then taking a melatonin pill can be helpful. But if you produce enough, but it can't cross the blood-brain barrier well, then you don't need more melatonin. You need something to help it get across the blood-brain barrier. Niacinamide can do that. There you go.
Niacinamide.
That's what I have. If I can't sleep or if I need to be certain that I fall asleep, I'll take a half pill If I
Yeah,
take
I should try that.
if I take a whole pill of niacinamide, 8-9 hours later, I wake up and I'm just groggy like a zombie. So there you go. Justin Frank says yes, pineal gland. So the pineal gland is what produces melatonin. If you're curious where I got that information, just Google healthy sleep formula. You'll find from Steve, Steve, I forgot his last name. The healthy sleep formula. Steve Gibson. He does a podcast called Security Now, and I've listened to a lot of those podcasts, and he did a bunch of stuff on sleep because he was having trouble. So there you go. Aggressa for 5 Australian says, Mallory, we do like you. In the future, when you have questions about things you don't understand, don't go to your dad. We know it wasn't your dad, right? Turn to MC Toon instead. You're on my Discord server. Ask in there. People will help.
I will.
So let's see. Glober Mom said she found something from 2008, but hasn't found it yet.
I sent the link that I found.
Oh.
I sent the link.
The one, okay.
And when I clicked on it, it was like highlighted where.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put that up quick.
And so it was like near. It was scrolling like way at the bottom because it just clicked. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Stringer News 1 found it too. So there it is. So there's their thing. So here, let me see if they have at the bottom. See, I hate it when they don't cite their stuff, right? They just ramble on, about stuff. This was in in the Punjab University, but they don't give you the link. So now you got to like try to dig to find what they were talking about. So one thing that when you read the study, then what you want to find is, what did they do? Did they have a test group and a control group? How close were they to the particular emitter? Was it closer than they are supposed to be, right? Because you should not be within a certain distance of it. We know that's bad. Stay away. So if a bird is within that range and has a problem, then maybe the solution would be not, to suggest let's do something so the birds can't get that close, right? That's a possibility. So anyway, and then here, this is the, oh yeah, here, this is, look at this. Can you see that? Oh, you can't see my hover over there very well. No, it's off screen. This particular link here that says wireless frequencies have been found to interfere with navigational systems and circadian rhythms of birds affecting migration. That is a link to something published in Nature, which I said earlier was a very good journal. So this is on nature.com. So anthropogenic electromagnetic noise disrupts magnetic compass orientation in a migratory bird. So now the next thing is, what is the power level and what is the frequency? Because those are both important. So here they frequency range, I'm not going to go too much into it, 50 to 5. And I don't see watt is not found in there. Milliwatt is not, no. So all right, I would have to read that more. I'm not going to do it right now because it's a little dull to just watch me read it. Oh, and it's not, yeah, you have to pay to get it. It's behind a paywall. That's the problem with good journals, is there's typically a paywall. You have to pay to see them. So.
Scammers.
No, it's not. It's a challenge for journals. You don't want to charge the person. There's a disadvantage to charging the person to publish in a journal, and that's because the people publishing then can just kind of feel like, well, I paid you, you better publish it. So a lot of the places that charge you to pay for it are called predatory journals. You pay, you get published, that's it, and then the journal makes money on it. Some of them don't actually do their due diligence and do the peer review. There are some that are good though. So there's middle ground. And then you've got the top-notch ones like Nature, where you pay to read it, you may have to pay to get published in it, and a lot of the time if you work for an organization, they will pay those fees for you. But somehow, but Nature has to make money somehow, or they can't publish.
Bottom line, this site that says that it's from a university that did this, like, are you giving it like a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
This particular one that is about migratory birds.
No, about the one before where it says that the birds were
in the Punjab.
Yeah.
Or the one from Spain. In Spain, the nesting, breeding, and roosting of birds were disrupted by microwave radiation from a cell tower.
Yeah.
I would want to read that, but because they didn't even link it in here, I can't.
But
I can't
it's still from a university. Like, why would they lie?
They might have done a poor quality study. They might not have had a test group and a control group. They might have put the birds in a very high power level. Don't
you need to be a professor to teach university?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they did it right.
That's not saying they might not do it right, but they're professors and they just seen like how all these things are being disrupted, and see just reading that, it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like,
so go look it up and read it.
I wouldn't want to live near a cell tower.
But we don't know yet. You haven't actually read the studies, and we don't have the information.
It's highlighted right from a university. Just speaking. Why would I be like?
Because
professor?
There's also from universities the thing saying we didn't find any problems with birds.
So
you have these conflicting studies.
So it's all conflicting. So
yes.
I could be right, or you could be right. So we're at a agree to disagree that,
Well, and that's
all I'm saying.
So that's where you look at more studies, a much broader range of studies. So on my website also have links to thousands of studies on the effects, and they were done. The people that reviewed them reviewed and just picked the ones that were done well, that had good test and control groups and had good sham groups and documented their procedures. So, and I can send you those tons of reading if anybody's interested. mctoon.net/5G or /ICNIRP. I
still find it quite interesting that this article, and I'm pretty sure that the Punjabis are not the only one.
So it's just an article, yeah.
Well, that's just what, like, I wasn't really wanting to plan to come up with like 5 the same articles. Yeah. Then my tablet would be insane. It'll probably crash.
Your tablet?
Not my well, whatever. I'm just saying, like, if I had, why would I try to bring like 5 websites, like, all saying the same, when I could just give you one?
Yeah. So somebody's asking a very pertinent question here. Blofeld 20K says, if you just openly accept all academic evidence for the globe in the same way you accept 5G stuff, right? If a university publishes something saying that the Earth is a globe, are you going to accept that too? That has just now been your standard of evidence for 5G.
Well,
maybe you need to open a few more tabs to do some high IQ research.
I really got to open up some brand new tabs here. I'm gonna get on the alert.
Okay, let's get back to, oh my gosh, I cannot keep up, people. Rodent no last name says, though I'm not one, I have many furry friends. His first name is Rodent. He's a furry, come on. It's a group that is easy to ridicule. You should consider that when trying to express your opinions and be taken seriously. That's a good point. Yes. I think I think it's fun. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I have very little to know about. Though I do now have a the global drop of my new furry single. Faux Hammer says, Mallory, I don't dislike you, but you should turn to MC Toon to be your real dad. Keep your real dad. Just like I do. Faux Hammer. I'm like, shh. People don't know that. Mick Daddy, what's for dinner? Or MC Daddy. Well, it was hamburgers, and for dessert, we've got pudding. Mm-mm.
What is for dinner? Well, you got the beaver butt pudding.
Beaver butt pudding. Mike Billers says peer review. Mallory doesn't have any peers. Oh my goodness. Oh, and then he says we're all worms compared to her. He's saying that we're worms and you're higher than all of us. There you go.
That's interesting. I don't think that, but okay.
Connell Silverfur says 5G is not natural, but Oak Express is. What's Oak Express?
No idea.
I don't know. People. Mike, Connell Silverfur, what's Oak Express? I can't even get it. I'll read it if you say something. Tag me. Connell Silverfur again says, no, that's next one is generally shady. Says, Pupinia Stewart is Mallory, admitted troll. Is that right?
I finally looked up who that was, and I did had a good laugh, but no.
Pupinia Stewart. I don't know who that is.
She was the one that was like crying. She's like, I only speak American or something like that. It's quite a cute watch, I guess.
Oh, I only speak American too, really. Oh, there she is. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, where's Brainy Beaver when you need him? Connell Silverfur says, in all seriousness, we get more ionizing radiation from everyday sun exposure than we could ever get from 5G signal exposure. Natural doesn't matter, and that's a great point.
Natural doesn't matter.
When it comes
to like artificial, you support AI. We're gonna become robots.
No. We're talking about electromagnetic radiation. The sun puts out EMF at all frequencies.
Too much sun is not good.
Absolutely, and the sun puts out much higher power than your phone or a cell phone tower does.
But add the cell phone towers and the sun and and your router. We're just the less shit out there, the better. That's bottom line, really.
But you have a cell phone, which is much more powerful than any 5G tower would ever. It gives you more exposure. So if you really want to reduce it, you need to get rid of your cell phone, get rid of your Wi-Fi, stay away from your computer. Don't have electrical wires inside your house.
We live in a digital world, and we are okay. But it's really hard to not go. But if I had like somebody, I would probably live off grid and live off the land and shit. Like I would be all for it.
Like
all you guys.
Like Of Mice and Men.
No.
Have you read that?
Yeah, it was mandatory in school.
When did you finish school?
Way back when.
Okay. People keep asking. They want to know how old you are. I tried to
everyone
make you slip.
Everyone keeps saying the answer.
Okay.
So ridiculous.
Connell Silverfur says Oak Express was a furniture store from an old commercial whose tagline was always, "That's not natural, but Oak Express is." And they were talking about their lack of varnish or paint on their products. So there you go. Needed a little context. Oh my goodness. Philosopher King Gaming says, so no Team Skeptic? Suspicious. He'll be here, people. I'm sure he's only on the plot hole for a short time. Stringer News 1 again talking about being a millionaire from scrambled eggs. So you had two videos. I can play the first one for sure.
Okay.
Want me to do that? I don't quite know what that. I didn't quite get that, but I'll play it here for you quick. Let me
Okay.
find it here.
I like that one and the last one I did, but
Okay, here we go. All right. So what was that meant to be for?
I just because like when they start like relating the like news media and everything else and just don't believe what the news or like the propaganda and all kinds of shit, like just I don't know, like how pretty I don't know. I pretty much
It's to convey your emotions and feelings on the issue.
yeah, pretty much. I'm like I'm not the brainiest person, but I'm the most creative person, and that's why I like to do art and music combined. And I always wanted to give like a shout out to the people that try to fight for whatever reason it is and try to even butt heads, like even though like the other video was like all these protests about 5G, like even if you're wrong, and you could admit that you did wrong, like because I'm getting educated now, like, and I'll be more definitely looking more into it. I still support you. Like I still want to be like, hey, you're doing a protest. Yeah, I'll join you. Like I'll fight the cause for you. I'll do this. Like,
What if the protest is something that you don't support? Would you maybe be a little critical about what they're specifically protesting?
well, I don't think I've really much seen a protest that I was like, ooh, I don't know. Like it's usually like help save the bees or the whales or the nature or you know like or like technology. Like technology
Could
is
it be maybe
concerning.
that you're could I suggest maybe you're not being critical enough in thinking about it? Just because somebody's protesting doesn't mean it necessarily is something to be protested. Like lots of
Well,
people have
even
strong
if
feelings on lots of issues, but it doesn't make it
yeah,
right or wrong.
like when I saw those 5G protests or those people that were burning the 5G towers down and it it does awaken you because you're like, why would somebody multiple people go out of their way to tear down these 5G towers, right? Like it it kind of like says like shit, what the fuck's I mean, sorry, what is wrong with this picture, right? Like then you start, that's why when you start looking, and those are like the few of the screenshots that I take or the few sites that I had saved, then it's like, well, yeah, it makes sense. Like I still think that deep down that no matter what, take a cardboard, write down, and go in front of City Hall and see what's up. If someone is gonna say like, I think you're wrong because of this, then have a
Yeah.
good discussion, right?
Like birds are not real. Protest that, people. Get your cardboard signs. Go downtown and say birds are not real.
I'm sure there's probably some, maybe, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying, like, even if you do that, you're getting other people who just put their head down and just agree of everything, or just go with the flow of whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely look into it.
Like, I just think that if you're going to protest, you're going to get people to look and educate you or support you. You're still getting other people involved and wake them up somehow. Like maybe you'll spark something. Maybe you'll start finding out what the real issue is behind it, or maybe you'll discover other issues behind it. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, man.
I would investigate before I'd go protest something. Always. That's me.
I don't know if I saw like those times that I saw a protest, sometimes I would go to like Tim Hortons and grab like a box of Timbits and bring it to them.
A box of what?
Timbits. I guess it's a Canada thing. Like, it's like Americans calls it donut holes, I guess.
Oh, yes.
Which is weird.
Timbits.
Yeah, we call them Timbits.
Can you buy Timbits at a store that's not Tim Hortons?
But yeah, they're called something else.
Okay. Donut holes, maybe?
No, we don't call them. No, I think they're called like ball. I don't know. Actually, I really don't know. I don't think I went outside of Tim Hortons where they sold Timbits. I think they just sold donuts.
Okay. Flat Turd says he actively protests humans existing and wants you to join.
Wow. Is that?
I would suggest looking into that a little more before you just jump on that bandwagon with Flat Turd. And then Microraptor says something about, I said something about people's anatomy that's fake and that's rude. I never would have said that. I don't know what you're talking about. So you brought some donut holes to some protesters just because they were protesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I live in Minneapolis area, and we've had some protests on Sunday night where they looted everything. Now that kind of protest, would you bring them donut holes?
Well, I don't think anyone's gonna pay attention if they're looting and bringing down flame. Where I just have like a box of donuts. I'm like, hey, you guys want some? I don't know, maybe
to the looters.
Yeah, I don't think they'll care about my donuts.
Okay. So Connell Silverfur is wondering, can 5G make geese lay golden eggs? If it can mangle their eggs. Maybe 4G causes the eggs to be weird and 5G makes them gold.
I doubt it.
I need to see something published in Nature on that topic. Now, oh my goodness, this conspiracy won't go away. Bowhammer335 says team is talking on Plothole's channel right now. Team/Mallory conspiracy debunked. I don't know about that. What? It's not. It was never a conspiracy. People. He'll come back. Don't worry, he'll be here. Draco Fire, who lives in the vicinity here, says, yikes, protests again. I never enjoyed living outside the Twin Cities before, but I sure do now. Yeah, he's not. And you spoke to Draco Fire the other day, last Wednesday.
Yeah.
He lives
I'm really bad with names.
He lives kind of in the same area as I do, in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. So, let's see. Generally Shady said something about Pupina Stewart again, or that was from before. Connell Silverfur says, I read the link from from which Mallory's meme was taken. It was an article discussing potential negative and positive implications of 5G. Meme quote mind. Yeah, I think, was that this one here? The from the state of the planet from Columbia.edu, the coming 5G revolution, how will it affect the environment? And it's positive and negative stuff. So in the article. So that's how will it help the environment is one of the topics. So you gotta look at all of it. I think that's his point. Story News 1 says a blogger is not a professional or a professor. Yeah, so that the one article from Columbia.edu is that's Renee Cho that published it. Is that just a blogger or is that actually a professor that published it? Nope, she's just a blogger for the Earth Institute, not a professor. There, you can look at her bio. Let's see, Big TB1717. The fact is that article is a blog and claims the studies happened with no links. Maybe that blogger is simply mistaken. Could be. Got to find the links. Glober Mom found some links, I think. I'm not gonna. I just can't pull them up right now. I will look at those and I'll get back to you on what I think about them. How about that, Mallory?
Excellent.
Let's see. Holy Small says, is it bad that the video makes sense? Holy Smalls, could you later write out what the video means and put it on your blog? Maybe, because we're all wondering. How about that? I heard your not dad talking last night about yonders. And David says, for $4.99, Mallory graduated several yonders ago, but how many moons? And is the moon real? I read on the internet that Mallory believes the moon is real, by the way. Do you believe the moon is real?
Well, I could see the moon, so yeah.
Okay. And how many moons ago did you graduate?
Moons ago? A couple of moons ago. A few moons ago.
A few moons ago?
A few moons ago.
Stringer News 1 says donut holes. Are there donut electrons in Canada?
I don't even know what?
It's about electronics. You take silicon in a when you make a chip for a computer chip, and then you dope it with boron or nitrogen. Is that right? Oh my goodness. They're on the opposite sides of carbon, and one has an extra electron and one has one less electrons, and so the one that has one less electron in the vicinity of this whole group of silicon, they all have less electrons, so electricity can flow. It's called a semiconductor. That's how chips work. That's how computers work. It's the very foundation of it, and so that's what he's talking about, an electron hole. So he's calling it a donut hole. Are there donut electrons? That's what he's talking about. It is a electrical engineer joke, I suppose. Baron Von G says, plastic is natural. Mercury is natural. Everything in our universe is natural. The only things that are not natural are these supernatural things. What do you think of that?
Interesting.
So, sorry. I got... I need a little tab here. Oh my goodness, thank you. So, the definition of natural is kind of, there's a couple different meanings of it, right? Everything that's physical is natural in one sense. But I know you're talking about like manufacturing things. But of course, people wear clothes and people live in homes and people wear shoes and people eat cooked food, which isn't natural by some particular definition of natural. So where do you put that line of I will use this, but I won't use that because this is natural and this is not, but what's what? So, electromagnetic radiation from the sun is natural, and it comes in all frequencies.
Yeah.
And electromagnetic radiation from your cell phone or a tower is really not all that different than from the sun. It's just not generated by the sun. So how does that make it bad or good? It really doesn't. Right? So you will, living in Canada, I'm sure it gets cold there sometimes, and you might use an electric heater in your house. Yeah. That is electromagnetic radiation.
Yeah.
And it feels nice, doesn't it, when you're cold?
Sure does when you're cold.
Yeah. Stringer News 1 is wondering, is Cheese Whiz natural?
That's the grossest thing ever, though. Even like those sliced cheese is gross.
Yeah. Do you know that Velveeta is actually an atom? Yep. It's just capital V. And Spam is also an element. Yeah. And when you combine them, you get SPV. It's Spam Vita. SP2V. Sorry. You got to look at their valence electrons. So. There you go. So here's a question for you about the Earth.
Okay.
There's no end to the studies that I could cite from universities that talk about the shape of the Earth being a sphere. So there's a disconnect there if you're going to trust a university study on one thing but not on another just because you don't like the conclusion. Yeah. That's trouble. Right? You see the intellectual challenge to that?
Yeah, I'm seeing where you're trying to bring up. Like, I came on here because you wanted to talk about 5G.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to use stuff that you would say that you would take like seriously, I guess.
Yeah.
Like for me,
I appreciate
for me, like I was sold like watching protests and people destroying 5G towers and me saying like me or going on that other site where it says like people with like sensitivity are getting this, or like why would I think that being beside a tower is just that it's not going to affect us somehow, you know? Like when I was saying like about fracking or mining and all these things, only a lot later on they were saying, oh, it's not good, or they were just like, even though like this is $1 trillion money maker, and it's like, well, that just seems a little suspicious. Of course they're gonna say that it's good, you know? So I was trying to bring serious things that you would try to be like, okay, well, let's dissect this type thing.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'll look at that study, but I think you got some good stuff. I think we got a good thing. But I have a question. This is going to go to the Earth again.
Okay.
The Earth shape. Okay. So here's a little drawing I have here. I'm going to switch to a different camera so people can see maybe a little better. There's a good one. Actually, that's not going to be better. Okay. So here it is. This is, let's imagine for a second that the Earth is flat. Okay.
Okay.
So here is this line is the flat Earth, right? This is the equator, right? And over here we've got 45 degrees south, which would be like in Australia or South America, right? And then over here you've got 45 degrees north, which is Minneapolis is at 45 degrees north. So I'm right at this 45 degrees north. Now you got the moon up here. Mm-hmm. Some elevation, which no flat earther has ever said, a specific elevation, because it kind of fails as soon as you test it. But let's just imagine for a second that it's whatever, 3,000 miles, 100 miles, 1,000,000 miles. It doesn't, or not 1,000,000 miles, but some number of miles above the flat Earth. So the person at the equator looks straight up and they see the moon, mm-hmm. right? And they see a particular part of the moon, right? And the person at 45 degrees south is going to see, they're going to look up at an angle and they're going to see a different part of the moon than the person at the equator.
Okay.
The person over here at 45 degrees north is going to look up at the moon and see a drastically different portion of the moon than the person over at 45 degrees south.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's if the Earth is flat. That's kind of a necessity, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
They're going to see different parts of the moon.
But
But
when you see a picture of and every time that I've seen a picture of the moon, it like it's always like the same. The same holes there, like everything
yeah,
is the same. So it just feels like that it's like that could just be like a I don't know, like a saucer or whatever. Like it almost feels like there's no other side of the moon type thing. Like
well,
that's why I'm not really quite getting it because like no like you ever saw those like pictures like when you look at a painting and it almost when it looks like the eyes are following but it really isn't type
yeah,
thing.
yeah. But
Like
now, yeah, that's a good one. And a painting is a flat surface, but the
yeah.
moon, do you think that the moon maybe is flat? Like it's a circle
Well,
and
I
it's
never
flat?
seen I'm not sure because I've never every time there's a picture of the moon or you look at the moon, the holes are exactly the same
Yeah, and
place.
it doesn't matter where you are, right? If you're if you're in North America or if you're in South America, you see the same part of the moon on the same night.
Uh-huh.
The same craters so you don't see, as would be necessary if the Earth were flat, you don't see a different portion of the moon. You see the same portion of the moon.
Okay.
Right? If it were a sphere and if it
Mm-hmm.
were close, you would have to
But
see a different part of it. Right?
but if it's fear, like how could the people at the bottom see the moon?
At the bottom of
Yeah, I'm talking about like Australia or like
of flat Earth or of a globe.
a globe.
Well, that's not hard. You both. It's just because
It almost makes more sense that it's flat than it's round.
if the Earth is a sphere and the moon is far away, then the distance between the 45 degrees north and 45 degrees south is a very small in relation to how far away the moon is. So you wouldn't expect to see much difference between them.
Okay, but here's a question: like, if the world's round and we're spinning, spinning, like why are we still seeing the same star lines? Like, why are we not discovering new shit?
That's a good topic. I'm going to talk about that, but can we finish the moon thing here first?
Okay.
Okay. So some people say that the moon maybe is a disk, and that's why we see the same part of it. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have here a disk. This is actually out of a hard drive. You can see the chat in it, people. That's you. Say hi to yourselves. Now when I turn this sideways, what do you see? You don't see a circle anymore, do you? When you turn a disk sideways, you see.
But the moon never goes goes that way at all.
Exactly. Yeah. So, this you'd see if the moon were directly above the equator, you'd see a circle. If it was a disk facing down, right? But if you were over at a different angle, you'd see an ellipse, an oval, not a circle.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying if the Earth is flat and if the moon is a flat circle, then you would expect to see everywhere except directly below it, you'd expect to see the moon as an ellipse. But we don't see that. Because this disk you see right now is an ellipse,
but why would the moon ever change? Like why would the moon like go on sideways?
Because
that's a weird argument.
Because if the Earth is flat and the moon is close, then when you're over here, you'd see the side of the disk. If the moon were a disk, you wouldn't see it straight on.
It really depends where it is. Like
let's say it's directly above the equator, because there's times of the month where it's directly above the equator, right? Happens about once a month.
Could be a wild ass phenomenon.
It happens regularly. I'm not going to say when, but it happens that the moon is directly above the equator. And so then on the day when the moon is directly above the equator, somebody over at 45 degrees south will have a certain angle to it. and somebody at 45 degrees north will have a certain angle to it. So if it's a disk, then the person who's far away from the sublunar point would see it as a disk, or as an oval, not as a
I really would have to look more into it because I have a hard time concentrating.
Okay. But all right, so if you can wrap your head around that it could not be a disk, because from the side a disk looks different, then we're left with it being a sphere, right? That's not a sphere. It's meant to be a circle or a sphere, right? Then you'd expect to see a different portion of it depending on where you are on the Earth, but we don't ever see a different portion of the moon. We always see the same part of the moon no matter where you are. Right? So on the same night, 45 degrees north, 45 degrees south, 60 degrees north, we all see the same part of the moon. That tells us that it must not be close. It must be far.
I really have to look more into that, to be honest.
Okay. Will you?
No, I mostly will.
Okay. Because I think that if you know a guy named Seek Truth, Speak Truth, that for him was a very powerful thing because he used to be a flat earther, and he thought about this. He said, that doesn't make sense if the Earth is flat. That was kind of for him a breakthrough.
Well, so I would definitely have to look more into it and probably ask some questions because you put me on the spot. So I'm not
you don't need to answer now. So, PhD Tony, have you heard him before in FTFE when you're on there?
No.
Talking. He is
I'm really bad with names.
Okay. Well, he's lives in Australia, and he is a PhD. He actually has a couple papers published in journals. He said, and he works with mineral exploration companies. And what they do is they use gravimeters, which is just a very, very sensitive scale, basically, that measures changes in gravity all around the world. And they'll find an area where there's maybe higher gravity than around it, than in the vicinity around it. And they'll say, you know what, based on that, we're pretty certain that there's some minerals there. So go digging in that area, you'll find gold or platinum or something like that. Or they'll find, hey, this area here has less gravity. Gravity is mass attracting mass. And that means that there's less mass in this particular area. So why don't you go there, and instead of rock, maybe there's oil there, and they'll dig and find oil. So that's what he does for his job. He uses gravity to find minerals for companies. Okay. And they pay him money to do that, and pay his company money to do that using gravity. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so he said, seismic evidence kills the flat earth, full stop.
That what the size?
Seismic. That'd be like earthquakes. The earthquake shakes the earth, right? And then there's some point where the earthquake happens, and then it propagates across, and different seismometers measure when that particular seismic wave reaches it. And when you take the amount of time that a seismic wave takes to reach different places and plot that out on a flat earth, it doesn't make sense. And then if you plot that out on a globe, it does make sense. Pretty cool. Very complicated stuff, but it's people that understand it look at that and say, oh yeah, that would only work on a globe. So there you go. Baron Von G says, by the way, 5G is natural also. It exists within the nature of our universe. By that definition of natural, absolutely. So David Oliver is wondering, do you think gravity is real?
Well, I wouldn't deny gravity because things fall down. It's, I'm not going to, that one, no.
That's a good point. The potato radius is radius that people have discovered that when they did some modeling and then they observed asteroids. And when there's something that's large enough, it has enough mass and its own gravity pulls itself together. Once it's over a certain size, it will pull itself into a potato shape, a somewhat spherical shape. And the larger they are, the closer they are to a sphere. That's the potato radius. It's somewhere between 200 and 300 kilometers, depending on the makeup of the material.
But most potatoes are not.
That is a very large potato.
But it's not round. Like most potatoes are not round.
Exactly. Yeah, and the potato radius is the radius where an object will collapse into a potato. Not round, not a sphere. There's a larger size that is it won't be a potato shape anymore. But there's the shape where if it's 200 to 300 kilometers in size, it's not going to have all weird stuff sticking out at different angles. It's going to pull itself into a potato shape. And then they tend to rotate on the long axis of that potato, I think. Maybe not. Could. Anyway, that's the point of the potato radius. Gravity would do that. And the Earth is much larger than that radius.
All this potato talk just makes me want to have a poutine. I haven't had dinner yet.
Okay. I want some poutine too. So if it's big enough, then it'll pull itself in. So the Earth pole to pole is 20,000 kilometers, much, much larger than the potato radius. If the Earth were flat, gravity would immediately pull it into a sphere. So if gravity exists, the Earth cannot be flat because it would collapse into a sphere anyway.
Interesting. See, I don't understand like how I'm gonna look more into that.
Okay. We got two more and then maybe we'll see about moving on here. Okay. David Oliver says, MC Toon, please explain tidal locking and he's questioning whether you will grasp it. It is certainly okay. I'll try. All right. Assuming the Earth is a sphere and assuming the moon is rotating around the Earth, the moon is not perfectly the same makeup in all areas, right? There's some areas that's more dense and some areas that is less dense. So if you got the Earth and the moon's going around it, right? A certain part of it is going to have more mass, and that's going to over time going to want to aim itself towards the Earth, because what'll happen is, say this is the more dense part of the moon, it would rotate around and it's getting a little bit away, pointing away from towards the Earth. So the gravity will pull it to want to straighten it out a little bit. And it'll then over rotate a little bit and come back farther, right? And as it does that, it'll get this kind of cyclical thing, but over time, it will calm down that cyclical nature, and the densest portion of the moon will face towards the Earth all the time. That's tidal locking. It is something that is expected in.
So you're saying like this moon is like heavy based on one side, and that's why it never turns?
It turns as fast as it rotates. The turning and the orbiting match. That's called tidal locking. And yeah, that's why we see the same face all the time. It's not all the time. We see slightly more. There is a little bit. When it's closer, we see more. When it's farther, we see less. And depending on where you are, right? If you're at the extremes of the edges, you can see just a little bit extra. So that's tidal locking. I think the majority of moons in the solar system people have discovered are tidally locked. There you go.
Okay. So that question about if we're floating through space, why are we still seeing the same stars? Same.
Good question. Stars move. The ones that are closest to us move the most. Polaris moves. It's documented. I have on my website, mc2.net/Polaris, 150 years of documentation of the movement of Polaris. It doesn't move much, but it does move, and it's documented, and people are able to measure it. So the Earth rotates. The sun is here. The Earth is slightly tipped on its axis, and it rotates, right? And so when it's on one side of the sun, it's pointing up towards Polaris, or not up, towards Polaris, and down, not down, but south towards these, there's not really a star near the center, but Sigma Octantis is close in the southern. But then when it moves around the sun and it's over on the other side, it's at the same tip, right? So it moved from here to here, and it's tipped the same a year or a half a year later. So that little bit of difference, if the star is close enough, we can actually measure it. It's called parallax. There are many stars that have been measured to have parallax. I can send you hundreds of them, documentation if you want. Okay. So we do see that, but they're all moving together with us. So if you're
you're saying like, so you're saying like, so your belief is like, we're a globe and we're traveling through space, right? But the stars are moving with us.
Yeah.
Like, how come we never? But isn't that weird?
It's I think it's really cool. So imagine you're on the freeway. We have 4, 5, 6 lane freeways here in the States. And if you're all traveling together at about the same speed on the freeway, you could look out your window and see the person in the car next to you for minutes.
Once in a while, there's a crash on a highway. Like, how come we haven't like crashed in like some other star?
Because we're not quite that close. So the analogy breaks down when you get there. So let's not break the analogy already. Let's just stick with, if you're all traveling together on the freeway and you look forward, you look back, you look to the sides, you see the same cars for a while. Now take it, spread everything out, make everything move faster.
But we get past cars though. I've drove in highways and I'm always like, let's say if there was like a blue car beside me, I'm not always near that blue car. Sometimes I'm like in front of green, red, purple,
so now
forth. Like, it just, isn't it kind of insane?
The relative speeds of the stars are closer to our speed relatively than the blue car and the red car that you're talking about.
That just seems suspicious. That if we're traveling and we're on this freeway, how come we never seen other shit?
We do. What do you mean? We see other stars.
Like new stars?
We see new stars.
But we see the same.
Yeah, we see the same. Now, so here's the deal with scale. My kid, when he made the pudding, he made 4 containers of pudding. He'd made all the pudding we had in the house because he didn't know the scale to make. He made 12 eclairs. Do you need 4 boxes of pudding? No, you don't. And then he put it, this is even better. He put it into the piping bag, right? He filled the piping bag to the top. And then he grabbed and he crunched up the piping bag, and the pudding just spilled out all over his hand. So he's standing there with pudding just dripping on the counter. He's like, "Dad, can you help me?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what did you do?" So I helped him, and we filled the eclairs with pudding. And then I'm like, "All right, well, you got to clean up your hand and the countertop. I'll see you later." The scale is important. So the amount of time that you're next to somebody on the freeway might be a few minutes. The amount of time that you're next to a star might be millions of years. The speed that you're moving on the freeway is 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour. The speed that we're moving through the galaxy is much more than that. But if they're all similar speed, then the differences don't change a lot over time. So that's how it works. And sometimes I can get that it's hard to wrap your head around.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the explanation. And there's no problem that I've ever seen with that explanation. I've heard people say, well, I just don't think so. I find that I don't understand it or I don't think so isn't really a debunk of it. It's just, I don't get it. Fine, you don't have to get it. You don't have to understand everything. I don't understand everything. I don't understand why people listen to country music.
Damn, still, I don't even like country, but I just like, damn, just give some things a chance.
It's safe because nobody likes country music, so I can diss it all the time and nobody will get mad at me.
I said the same thing until I started listening to Kip Moore.
Johnny Cash, he's the man in black. Okay. Warren Evans says the average household light bulb gives off more harmful radiation than a 5G tower. Are you now going to remove all the bulbs in your house?
I do a lot of candles. I have a lot of candles and oil lamps.
Candles give off electromagnetic radiation too.
Well, they're not. Well, things you're learning.
Yep.
But they're not. Okay.
David Oliver for £5 says basically, if you're in a moving car, the trees close to you move away from very fast. The trees at a distance move very slowly. You ever notice that? When I was a kid, I remember looking out and seeing the far, far away, hills and trees and thinking, why don't they move? But the close ones just zip by. Because they're very far. Okay. Team Skeptic, where did he go?
But then we've been moving forever. Like, how long has Earth been like, I don't know. How old is Earth?
They say it's about 4 billion years old.
Okay, so 4 billion, and we haven't discovered new sections of this outer space of new astrology and blah
not astrology, astronomy.
Yeah, I know I'm butchering all this, but
first of all, we haven't in the 4 billion years of Earth's lifespan, telescopes have only been around for just a tiny bit. But they're always discovering new things, new parts of the galaxy, the universe that they've not seen before. So the Hubble telescope pointed at the darkest part of the sky for a long time. They call it the deep field, and they looked at it. They aimed the telescope at it for a very long time so that it could get a very good picture of it. And they got a huge number of galaxies that were brand new galaxies that were just discovered from the Hubble telescope.
Are we going towards that hole?
Towards that hole.
Is that what you said in that black area?
No, they just called it
new galaxies.
No, I didn't say that we're moving towards it. It's just it was the darkest.
I just wanted. Yeah. That's what I wanted to ask.
It was the darkest part. Yeah, it was the darkest part. There. We're traveling. Generally, people disagree. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation on this, so I won't. I don't have any of my eggs in any of these baskets. They say generally everything is expanding away from the center, wherever that is. So we are the solar system is orbiting the galaxy, the center of the galaxy, and the galaxy as a whole is moving away from some area. So there you go. So yeah, the proper motion of stars is well measured. So yeah, there. And on my website, mctoon.net/sun, I have measurements of the movement of our solar system within the galaxy and measurements of other stars within the galaxy. There you go.
It would have been a lot cooler if we were heading down to a new part of this whole thing.
I think we are. We're moving to a new part. But it takes a long time to get there, though.
So I won't be able to see it. Just for the elites. I don't think it's just for the average Joe.
Could be. Okay. Let me read these two more and then we should wrap up here.
Okay.
Because you got to eat. So David Oliver
Yes.
for £5 is basically, if you're in a moving car, the trees. Oh, wait, I already read that. Trees close, move fast. Trees far, move slow. And then Judge Dredd for $5 says, of course, Mal, Johnny Cash. It was Ring of Fire. There you go, from Judge Dredd.
Okay.
Do you know Judge Dredd?
Yep.
Okay. There you go. Mallory, it's been great having you on.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. If you have questions, please ask on. You can ask me personally, but I think people would love to have a discussion with you on my Discord server. I'm sure other Discord server, but I encourage people to be nice. So I think it might be a pleasant environment for you.
Yeah, I joined it, and I'll be definitely bringing some questions there.
Awesome. I have after this another this debate that it's coming on after will be a bit different. Just a second here. Okay, sorry, I had to talk to somebody there. So okay. If somebody wants to pop in the chat, the next one, which is starting in about 12 minutes, not more than 12, almost 20. All right, Mallory, anything you want to say before we go?
Thank you for having me. I really like this discussion. I'm glad that I could clear some things out, and that's pretty much it. Thank you for being nice and such.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for everybody, channel members and patrons, and we'll see you later for the another debate with Latter-day Saints, and then at midnight I'm going to be putting together this model here. If anybody wants to watch. So we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye. All right.